Hello everyone, I'm Greg Otta with FedScoop TV, and today we're at the Public Sector Innovation Summit, and I'm talking with Dominick Delfino, VMware's VP for Worldwide Systems Engineering for the Americas. Dom, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
So talk to me about what government programs you're seeing that are fueling innovation and how VMware is helping support that innovation.
So I think certainly, across the spectrum of government, whether it's federal government or state, local, and education as well, and whether it's civilian agencies or defense and intelligence, we definitely see initiatives to strengthen our cyber posture as one of the biggest areas where the government's investing in innovation. So we've been working pretty consistently with them. I've consulted with the House Armed Services Committee, post some of the breaches that we've seen in some of the government agencies as well. And we're really seeing them push the envelope in terms of innovation and ways to address this and stay ahead of the curve and really make sure that we have the best cyber posture possible. And there's a lot of tactics they're using to do this, right? Government's a very unique place in terms of the scope of infrastructure that they have, the scale and the reach and the breadth they have, and also obviously, in certain aspects of government, the mission criticalness of the systems that they use as well.
Has the Cybersecurity National Action Plan that came out earlier this year helped speed that along?
I think it has. I think, unfortunately, one of the things that's really helped move things along is the number of breaches that we've seen, both in the public sector as well as in the private sector as well. So it's not just, I think it's certainly raised the level of awareness beyond technology people in terms of the risks that are out there in the market, in terms of the sophistication, in terms of how hyper-connected that we become, in terms of how many paths to entry that they now have into people's infrastructure, into their networks, and into their applications. So I think, that's the same in the private sector as well. And I don't think it was a lack of awareness prior to that, but I don't really think how many people realized how critical the situation can get and how quickly it can escalate. So I think certainly the awareness level is up. And whether they're technology people, whether they're people leading the government agencies, or whether they're people legislating on behalf of those agencies as well, has really raised the awareness across the board. And it's put some momentum really behind making sure that we're very, very innovative in our approaches here and that we can build an infrastructure and secure it. So.
What else can be done to sort of speed things up? Because I know that, two-factor authentication has taken a while to come in. So things like that. What else could be done to speed things up?
I think technologically right now, certainly one of the things that we see is the adoption of a zero trust model. And I think historically what we've had is on one hand, we have an information security policy, right? And on the other hand, you have an infrastructure that's not necessarily aligned to that information security policy. So at the highest level, an information security policy says, these people should have access to these applications, and these applications need access to that data. However, once you don't simply just pick up that InfoSec policy and plop it on an infrastructure and it gets applied automatically. So I think inherently you're seeing people take what we call a zero trust architecture approach to building an infrastructure, meaning unless it's specifically defined that somebody needs access to an application and that access needs application to that data, it shouldn't be available.
Right.
Okay. So I think using that mentality as sort of a guideline, then we can put the tools and the processes and the people behind that in order to drive those things. So certainly from a VMware perspective, we have what we call a microsegmentation strategy, which allows you to get isolation and segmentation of your infrastructure in a very, very fine-grained way and really build that zero trust security model on an infrastructure, and it's something that we've had tremendous traction with here in the federal marketplace.
I was going to ask you, is the microsegmentation something that you see that is ripe to come into the federal space, and not even just the federal space, just public sector across the board?
No, it's been actually, some of the public sector, some of the larger public sector agencies have been in production with this now for a year or 2 years. Our business is growing about 100% year over year in this space, and it's being adopted en masse across all vertical industries. You definitely see, obviously, the regulated industries are responding first. So whether you're an energy customer, you're a financial services customer, you're a retail customer, and you're regulated by PCI for credit card transactions, or you're a healthcare provider or a healthcare insurer where you're subject to HIPAA regulations. And then obviously all sorts of government agencies have their own internal regulatory requirements as well. So really, we look at that as sort of a paradigm shift in terms of how you architect your infrastructure in a way that has security thought into it, right? It's not an afterthought, right? It's built into it, it's designed into it up front. And really, these are the types of things that, it's very easy to lock something down and make it very, very secure, but then to make it operationally scalable and cost-effective is a different scenario. So these are sort of the three things that we're tackling. We need the technology, we need the ability to operate it and troubleshoot it and manage it and monitor it, and we need it to be very cost-effective as well. So that's sort of the three-legged stool to next-gen security architectures for infrastructure.
Well, I know the federal government is very, very interested in getting security landscapes like this put in their enterprises, and I'm sure you'll help them along the way.
Absolutely. We're here to support them.
Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.